I accidentally became the omega of a 5-man pack, who all hate each other. The form said beta only, which, I get it. Alphas don't want an omega messing with their delicate little testosterone ecosystem or whatever. But I'd been living in a windowless shoebox with a broken ceiling fan and 4-legged roommates who paid no rent and stole my snacks. So when I saw the ad for a luxury 5-bedroom in the city centre, real hardwood floors, a dishwasher, a garden, I filled out that form so fast I didn't even think. Name, Louis Delacour. Age, 23. Designation, beta. It wasn't exactly a lie. My suppressants were industrial strength. I hadn't had a heat in years. I figured I'd keep my head down, pay rent on time, and no one would care. Spoiler alert, they cared. The house was insane, like actual marble countertops and voice-activated lights insane. I got the attic room, which was tiny, but it had its own skylight and a view of the skyline, so I wasn't complaining. The alphas kept to themselves. We had a shared kitchen, sure, but I learned real quick that everyone had their own shelf, their own utensils, and their own imaginary territories drawn in blood. They didn't talk, not to me, not to each other. Silas, the cold CEO, would ghost through the hallway like death in a 3-piece suit. Logan, the medical nerd, mumbled a soft morning once, then nearly passed out when I said hi back. Alejandro, ex-gangster, I googled him, don't ask, stared at me for 5 seconds too long on move-in day and hasn't acknowledged me since. Charlie, the golden boy, dropped a protein shake, blushed, and ran. And Johnny's my ex. I didn't know he lived here. I didn't even know he was an alpha now. Last I saw him, we were 18 and he was crying in my lap over a failed painting. Anyway, that was the setup. And for 3 weeks, it worked. Until it didn't. It started with the smell. I was halfway through a leftover croissant. Ironic, I know, when the room tilted. I dropped the plate. My whole body went hot, sticky, wrong. Like something had cracked open inside me and was flooding every nerve. I knew this feeling. I hadn't felt it in years. I thought the suppressants had nuked it out of me. But no. My heat had decided to arrive. Late, loud, and completely uninvited. Shit, I hissed, dragging myself up the stairs. My skin was boiling. I could barely breathe. Not now. Not here, not... I made it to my room, locked the door, threw myself onto the bed and curled up like a dying cat. I thought I could ride it out, like before. Just breathe, meditate, watch a nature documentary, or 12. Then I heard it. The sound of a door slamming open downstairs, then another, then 3 more. Footsteps, heavy, fast, angry, and then Silas's voice, cold, sharp.
Who the hell is in heat?
Oh no. No. Another voice, rough and low.
It's the French one, that pretty little liar.
That was Alejandro, and he sounded like he wanted to eat me, not in the fun way. Someone growled, actually growled, like some unholy beast that needed a muzzle. And then came the scent, my scent, flooding the house, apparently. But worse, theirs, all 5. 1 alpha scent is overwhelming. 5? It felt like drowning in sweat, musk, fire, wood smoke, and ozone. I couldn't tell whose was whose. It just hit me. Hot, primal, hungry. Footsteps pounded up the stairs. I scrambled toward the door and shoved the dresser in front of it.
Louis?
That was Johnny, my ex, the one I dumped in a McDonald's parking lot.
Open the door.
Go to hell, I croaked. You're in heat. No shit. A thud, then another. They were fighting outside. I could hear someone being slammed into the wall.
Back off,
Silas said, voice like ice cracking.
You'll scare him.
You're all scaring me, I yelled. Then silence. It lasted 3 seconds. Then, Charlie, soft. Do you need water? God damn it, Charlie. I didn't open the door, but they didn't leave. One of them started pacing outside. Another slumped against the wall and growled every time someone else got close. I swear I heard a bottle of lube hit the floor. Don't ask, I'm choosing denial. And me? I lay there, sweating, vibrating, and swearing in French under my breath. I just wanted cheap rent. Not 5 alphas breathing through my door like feral dogs smelling meat. Not this heat. Not them. But some part of me, buried under the panic and the scent fog and the sheer hormonal hell I was in, it was curious, because something inside me was whispering, pick one, or worse, pick all 5. Flashback. 3 weeks ago. I moved in on a Tuesday. There was no welcome party, no orientation packet, just a key taped to the door with Louis scratched across it in Sharpie. The first one I saw was Charlie, blonde, broad-shouldered, golden retriever smile, and tall, like NBA tall. I found out later he actually was in the NBA. 21, stupidly rich, and the only one in the house younger than me, and somehow still the one who made me feel like a kid. He was shirtless, balancing a basketball on one hand and eating dry cereal with the other when I stepped through the front door with all my boxes. "Oh, hey!" He grinned like we were old friends. "You're the beta, right?" I nodded, adjusting my grip on my suitcase. He blinked down at the banana in his hand. "Want half?" I stared. "Of your banana?" "Yeah, man, it's a good one." And that was Charlie. Then Logan walked in behind him. Brown hair, wire glasses, lab coat half on, medical student. Quiet, awkward, tall in a way that always made him look like he was apologizing to ceilings. He accidentally shoulder-checked Charlie on his way in, muttered something like, "Sorry," and flushed crimson when he saw me. "Hi," I said with a smile. He made a sound like a dying cat and walked into the wall. Then, Johnny. He turned the corner, stopped mid-step, black hair in a messy half-up, paint on his arms, baggy shirt, eyes sharp. And familiar. He stared at me. I stared back. "Of course it's you," he said flatly, and walked right past me. It hit like a punch to the gut. I hadn't seen Johnny in 5 years, not since the messy breakup and the even messier silence after. I didn't even know he was an alpha now. I stood there frozen, still holding my banana half, while my stomach decided to throw itself off a building. A door creaked open upstairs. I looked up and saw him, Silas. Black hair, perfectly pressed shirt, green eyes that made my skin crawl, in a hot, terrifying way. He didn't say hello, just looked me over like he was scanning a spreadsheet. "Beta?" he said. I nodded, mouth dry. He gave a small nod and vanished without another word, and finally, Alejandro. He didn't come to greet me. I passed him in the hallway. Red-black hair, tied loose, tattoos down both arms, black eyes that never blinked. He leaned in a doorway, smoking, and didn't even move when I walked past. But I could feel his gaze following me, sizing me up, like I was prey. That was day 1. A week later. The kitchen is supposed to be shared. Supposed to be. Everyone had labeled shelves. Charlie had a protein corner, Logan's drawer was full of neatly labeled glass containers, Alejandro's cupboard had 1 single bottle of expensive tequila and 7 hot sauces. Silas kept his groceries in a literal mini-fridge inside the main fridge, and Johnny just took whatever he wanted, whenever he wanted. So when I decided to bake just a little cinnamon therapy, I braced myself. It was 9 p.m. I had my playlist on. I was kneading dough like a bakery ghost when Johnny walked in. Paint streaked, hoodie slung low, smelling like bergamot and frustration. He looked at the cookies on the tray, took one, chewed slowly. "You made these?" I nodded. He took another. "Still annoying. Still a good baker." Then he left like that wasn't the first thing he'd said to me all week. Charlie came in next. Hoodie, shorts, no shoes.
Bro, are those cookies?
You can have one, I said, already handing him 2. He took 4.
They're amazing,
he said with his mouth full.
I'd die for you.
Don't tell anyone. Logan walked in during this chaos. He took one look at Charlie dumping whey powder into tea and said,
You're gonna give him a heart attack. I'm helping. You're a danger. I'm adorable. You're...
They both turned to me. I backed away. Don't drag me into this, I said, holding my spatula like a weapon. Alejandro showed up, right as Logan was ranting about creatine metabolism. He looked at me, then at Logan.
You put something in these...
No. What?
I'll kill you if I die.
Please don't. He took a cookie, ate it, didn't blink. Then Silas walked in. Crisp shirt, cufflinks, power walk energy. He picked up a cookie, sniffed it, took a bite.
Too sweet.
Took another, then walked out. I just stood there in my apron, watching 5 alphas act like gremlins around a tray of cookies, and for some reason, I felt kind of safe. 3 days later. There's one good couch in this house. Big, squishy, angled toward the TV like God intended. I got there first on a Sunday morning with a blanket and some tea. Then Charlie plopped down beside me.
You watching cartoons?
Rom-coms.
Nice. Can I join?
Then Logan walked in, holding a tablet.
I was gonna watch my endocrinology series.
It's Sunday, Charlie said.
Let your inner child live.
I don't have an inner child.
Johnny entered mid-sentence.
Are we watching movies?
He had paint on his wrists. He leaned on the back of the couch and eyed me.
Please tell me you're not watching sports.
Shrek 2, I said. Silence. Charlie blinked.
Respect.
Logan tilted his head.
Why?
Iconic cinema, I replied. They argued for 10 minutes, quietly, with smug smiles and sarcastic jabs. Then they looked at me.
Well,
Johnny asked.
Who's it gonna be?
I held up the remote like a sword. If you make me pick, I'm putting on Shrek 2 and no one's stopping me. They surrendered. By the time Donkey turned into a horse, we were all laughing, even Logan. A few days later. It rained all night. I got caught walking back from the grocery store. My umbrella flipped inside out like a sad paper bat. I got soaked. By the time I reached the door, I was cold, wet, and ready to cry. Alejandro saw me first. He didn't say a word, just handed me a towel and muttered, "Don't drip on the floor." It was warm, fresh out of the dryer. Johnny appeared 5 minutes later with a hoodie. No explanation. He pushed it into my chest.
This is clean.
Thanks.
It's not a favor.
Okay.
Keep it.
Later that night, I found a mug of tea on my desk. Chamomile. With just enough honey. The mug said world's okayest beta. Logan. And a tiny heater hummed outside my door. No note, no trace, but I knew it was Silas. 2 days later. Couldn't sleep. Came down to the kitchen in Charlie's t-shirt and boxers, hoping for leftover pasta. Logan was already there, eating cereal. He nodded like we were 2 exhausted dads at a daycare. Johnny came next. Water excuse. Stayed for 30 minutes, talking about a dream he had where I was a fox with wings. Alejandro slinked shirtless, grabbed orange juice, and glared at everyone like they owed him money. The 4 of us sat in silence for a bit. Then Charlie walked in, sat beside me, and put an arm around my shoulders.
You okay?
He whispered. I nodded.
We should kick them all out and start a bakery.
You can't bake.
I'll learn.
Alejandro scoffed.
Betas don't start bakeries.
Charlie smirked.
Says who?
History. I burst out laughing. Logan smiled. Johnny rolled his eyes. Alejandro blinked slowly like I'd cast a spell. Charlie grinned at me. For a moment, the kitchen was warm, and in that moment, I started to think, Maybe this house, for all its chaos, felt more like home than anywhere else I'd ever been. Until now. Now they all knew my truth. I wonder if they'll still be that relaxed, caring with me. Or I'll just be another prey in their eyes. A prey who dared betray them all. Flashback ends. A few hours later. I expected screaming, like, "You lied to us, you manipulative little Omega trash," kind of screaming. I expected the door to be kicked down, a suitcase hurled out the window, Silas calling the cops, Alejandro snapping my neck, Logan sobbing over a medical ethics textbook, while Charlie paced outside my room, disappointed and shirtless. But what I got was silence. For about 6 seconds. Then the growling started, low, barely human. Then, bang. Something hit the wall outside my door, hard, followed by shouting. "Back the hell off!" That was Alejandro. "You don't get to touch him." Johnny's voice, tight and bitter.
He's in heat. He needs...
Logan panicked. "Not from you," Silas snapped, cold, terrifying. My whole body froze. They were fighting. Not yelling, not arguing. Fighting. Fists against walls, feet stomping, furniture scraping. One of them knocked over the hallway table, and I could hear the lamp shatter. I crawled across the bed and pressed my ear to the door. Their scents were everywhere now. Thick, molten, primal. They weren't trying to hold back anymore. I could feel it in the air. Alpha instincts. Possessive, hungry, mine. And underneath it all, the worst part, was how they said my name.
Louis needs to be calmed,
Logan said, his voice shaking.
I can sedate him if I...
"Touch him and I'll snap your freaking wrist," Johnny snarled. "You think he wants you?" Alejandro growled. "You don't even look at him unless he's crying. At least I've held him," Johnny spat. "Boys," Silas, low. "Shut up."
He's a freaking Omega, Charlie finally exploded. And you think you can share him?
"You think you can keep him?" Silas snapped. "You don't even lock your door." "You want to talk about doors, CEO?" Alejandro hissed. "Yours opens for him every time." "I never touched him," Silas said sharply. "I could have. I didn't." That made everything go quiet. My heart was thudding in my chest. I wasn't sure if it was fear or something worse, because here's the thing. I thought they'd be mad. They should have been mad. I lied. I lied! About what I was, about what I wasn't. I moved into their house pretending to be a beta because I wanted cheap rent and pretty walls and a damn dishwasher. I didn't mean to manipulate them. I just thought I'd get away with it. Keep my head down, stay invisible. And now they knew. I waited for the hate. Instead, they wanted me. Not just wanted to claim me. Their voices were full of it. That sharp, broken hunger. The instinct. The way alphas sound when they find something they think belongs to them. And me? I curled up tighter, because I couldn't tell. They all still cared. That was the problem. They didn't want to throw me out. They wanted to have me, each one of them. And the more they tried to care, the worse it got. Because I could hear it in their bones. This wasn't just lust. This was bonding. Real, actual bonds, snapping into place one by one, like fate cracking open around us. And it wasn't supposed to happen like this. I was just a regular Omega. Right? The next day, I had locked the door, barred it, pushed my dresser against it, even though it weighs less than Charlie's bicep. I curled into my sheets, shaking with fever, skin burning. The heat had fully hit. My scent was a wildfire, and I could feel them, all 5 of them, circling like wolves just beyond the edge of reason. And the worst part? They weren't trying to break down the door. They were waiting. which was so much more terrifying. The first knock came an hour after sunset, soft, rhythmic, a pattern, almost. I ignored it.
Louis?
His voice was gentle, careful, the same tone he used when I tripped over his medbooks last week, and he apologized to me.
I brought you something. I synthesized a temporary suppressant. It might help with the cramps, or at least cool your skin.
I pressed my forehead against the mattress. Suppressants don't work once the heat started. Not really, not unless the alpha dose is strong. And Logan's scent was too close, too good. Honey and latex and a hint of old books.
I won't come in, he said. I promise. Could I check your pulse through the door?
I laughed, hoarse. You want to diagnose me through wood? He hesitated.
I'm really good at it.
I pressed my fingers to the floor. Go away, Logan. Silence. Then,
okay.
When I opened the door an hour later to breathe, there was a neatly sealed vial on the floor and a pair of clean socks, because I was barefoot and he'd noticed. Later that night, the sound started around 3 a.m. A scuffle, then a crash. I dragged myself to the door, dizzy, heart pounding. You're leaving knives at his door? Johnny hissed. I'm not using them, Alejandro growled. They're symbolic. Symbolic of what? That you're insane? He said he liked knives. I was there when he said that. It was about a kitchen set. Another crash. I flinched and sat against the door, shivering in my hoodie, pressing my fist to my chest. I leave art, Johnny snapped. I paint him things. You paint himself, Alejandro shot back. That's not romantic. That's narcissism. At least I don't leave murder gifts. I groaned, weakly. Can you two not kill each other outside my room? Silence. Then Johnny said, quieter. He talked to me first. Alejandro. He laughed at my joke. Johnny. You threatened to set the barista on fire. Alejandro. And he laughed. I slid further into the blankets. They were fighting like children, outside my door, over me, and I should have hated it. But underneath the fear, there was warmth, because they stayed. Even if they weren't allowed in, they stayed. The next morning, I woke up to humming, low, off-key, kind of sweet. I blinked, dazed, and crawled to the door. There was something leaning against it. I cracked it open just enough to peek. Charlie was sitting on the hallway floor, legs crossed, hoodie on, tray in front of him. He looked up. His eyes were soft. Hi! What are you doing? Breakfast? I blinked. Your scent's stronger in the morning, he said. Figured you'd be hungrier. Made eggs and French toast. I also brought you that granola you like, and blueberries. My eyes welled up. Not because of the food, but because he remembered. He smiled, gentle. Can I come in? No, I whispered. Charlie, I can't. He nodded, like he'd expected that, like it was okay, then pulled his blanket over his lap and said, Okay, I'll just eat out here. That cool? And he did. He sat in the hallway, telling me about his day, his couch, the new shoes Nike sent him. I listened with my forehead against the door, and for a moment, the heat didn't hurt so bad. A few hours later, there was no knock, just a presence. I sat on the floor, hugging my knees, trembling. It was late. The heat was rising again, too sharp, too much. And then, soft footsteps. Silas. He didn't speak, didn't plead or fight, just sat. I couldn't see him, but I could feel him. His scent, like cedarwood, and clean linen, and money, and restraint. He stayed there for a long time, an hour, maybe 2. Then he spoke. Your room's not soundproofed, he said, calm, factual. I know, I croaked. It will be. Tomorrow. I blinked. What? I'm installing reinforced panels. You'll sleep better. Why? Silas paused, then softer. Because you deserve quiet. I pressed my fist to my mouth. Silas didn't want to fix me. He wanted to protect me. From the world, from the house, from even himself. And something in my chest cracked open. The next day. It wasn't a decision. It was a fever dream. I was sweating through my sheets. My throat was raw. My consciousness barely there. I couldn't tell what day it was. The pain was too much. Almost unbearable. I could hardly understand anything. My mind was on the brink of a blackout. And someone was knocking. Again.
Louis?
I think Logan whispered.
Your fever's too high.
I didn't move.
Please, just let me check you. You don't have to talk, just let me in.
My hand reached for the lock without thinking. It turned, the door creaked, and suddenly, I wasn't alone. I let them in, one by one, not all at once, never fully, never to the point of a bond, because I was still afraid, still knew what it meant. Once I let go, once someone bit down, I'd be theirs. No undoing it, no backing out, no changing my mind. But for now, I let them stay. Let Logan press a cool cloth to my skin. Let Johnny brush the hair from my forehead. Let Charlie feed me fruit and curl beside me like a furnace. Let Alejandro guard the door with a blade in his hand and guilt in his eyes. Let Silas sit in the dark and watch over me like I was something sacred. And maybe I wasn't ready to be theirs, but it was already too late, because they were mine. A few days later, the heat ended on a Tuesday. I woke up half naked, covered in someone's hoodie, pressed between two warm bodies I couldn't place. My whole body ached, like I'd been running for days and wrestling wolves in my sleep, which, honestly, might not be far off. My mouth was dry, my throat hurt, my scent was still all over the room, sweet and thick and used up. I sat up slowly, clutching the sheets around me, heart thudding like I'd done something wrong. Because I had. Or maybe they had. I don't know. That's the problem. I don't remember. It started like a joke at breakfast. I came downstairs in Charlie's t-shirt and Silas's silence, sat at the far end of the table and tried to pretend things were normal. Charlie beamed at me.
You let me in first, though, right?
Johnny rolled his eyes. You were outside with pancakes, not inside with your tongue down his throat. Charlie flushed.
He liked the pancakes.
Alejandro scoffed. He let me sleep in his bed. Logan choked on his tea.
You mean you climbed in like a feral dog?
I protected him.
From what? The ceiling fan?
They all started arguing. Loud, sharp, words like claws. Silas sat quietly at the end, cutting his toast with a knife like he was imagining it going into someone's ribs. I tried to speak, tried to ask, what happened? Who touched me? Did I ask for it? But the words caught in my throat. Because the truth? I don't remember anything past day 4. Just flashes. Hot mouths, gentle hands, a low voice whispering my name. Fingers carding through my hair. Someone holding me like I was made of glass. One of them, or maybe all of them, knotted me. And I don't know who. That night, the yelling got worse. Charlie shoved Logan into the fridge. Johnny slapped Alejandro. Alejandro pulled a blade. Silas had to physically throw someone into the living room wall to stop it. There was blood on the carpet. I saw it when I came down for water. They all froze when they saw me. 5 alphas. Bruised, breathing heavy, hands shaking. Because of me. Charlie was the first to speak, voice trembling.
Louis, we're just talking.
This is talking? I whispered. No one answered. So I backed away. Up the stairs, into my room, locked the door. Again. Later, someone knocked. Soft. It was Logan. He didn't ask to come in. He just said,
You don't have to pretend, Louis. Heat memory loss is normal. You're not broken.
I sat on the floor, holding a pillow to my chest, and whispered back, Did I sleep with you? Silence. Then,
You let me hold you?
that was somehow worse, because I wanted to remember, but I didn't, and now there's a new kind of silence in the house. It's not cold, it's tight. They still eat dinner with me, still say good morning, still put tea on my nightstand when I forget, but they don't look at each other. Not really. They take turns, ritualized, almost. Charlie walks me to work, Logan makes me breakfast, Alejandro checks the locks, Johnny paints me from memory, Silas sits with me while I nap. It should feel safe, but it doesn't, because underneath the carefulness is want, and jealousy, and quiet rage. I can feel it building again, like something's going to snap, and when it does, I'm scared I won't be able to stop it this time, because they don't want to share me. They want to own me, and I'm not sure who already does. 3 weeks later. It started with nausea. Not the cute, dramatic kind, the slow, creeping, unfair kind. The kind that clings to the back of your throat and doesn't go away, no matter how many crackers you eat or how hard you pray it's just the leftover Chinese from 3 days ago. Then came the cravings, then the back pain, then the scent thing. The guys kept sniffing the air around me like something was wrong. Even Alejandro asked if I'd changed my shampoo. I hadn't. So I bought the test. Not because I believed it, just to shut up the voice in my head that kept whispering, "No way," every time my stomach flipped at breakfast. I went to the 24/7 chemist down the street at 3 a.m., hoodie up, scarf over my face, pretending I was buying vitamins. I didn't even go back to my room to take it. I sat in the laundry room, on the edge of the washing machine, test balanced on the detergent shelf, timer set, and when I looked down, 2 lines. 2 soft, almost shy lines. Like they were apologizing for ruining my whole life. I blinked, then blinked again, then laughed, just one little broken sound. Not funny, not even real. Shit. I stayed there for almost an hour, staring, rocking, stomach turning. I didn't even cry. Not at first, because I wasn't scared of being pregnant. Not exactly. I was scared because I had no idea who the father was. No memory, no anchor, just a hazy voice in the dark saying, "I love you, even if you never choose me." And I didn't know who it was, which meant it could have been any of them. And they would all want it, and they would all fight. And me? I just wanted to disappear. The next morning, I didn't plan to tell them, but Logan was making soup, and Charlie was humming in the hallway, and Alejandro had just threatened a delivery guy for giving me the wrong order, and Silas was installing a noise-cancelling panel in the guest bathroom just in case, and Johnny was painting my hands like they were something holy, and suddenly, I couldn't breathe. I sat down at the table and said it. Plain, simple, dead quiet. I'm pregnant. Forks froze. Chairs scraped. 5 alphas turned to me at once like I'd thrown a grenade under the dinner table. Charlie blinked.
Like, with a baby?
Johnny scoffed. What the hell else would that mean, Charlie? Silas pushed his plate away. Alejandro stood. Logan grabbed the edge of the table like it was the only thing holding him up. "It's mine," Johnny said instantly. Charlie flinched.
You don't know that?
"I was with him."
So was I.
So was I,
Logan added, voice low.
and I was careful. I know Louis. He wouldn't lie.
Silas didn't say anything, just stared at me like he was solving a puzzle he already hated the answer to. Alejandro stepped forward, slow like a predator. "You let them nut you?" I shrank back. He stopped himself, clenched his fists. "Was it me?" "I don't know," I whispered. And that shattered everything. They all started shouting, over each other, through each other. Silas slammed his fist on the table. "Enough!" Charlie's voice cracked.
He's not a prize.
"I'm not sharing." Johnny.
You already did.
Logan snapped.
"Don't you freaking say that like it's my fault,"
Alejandro. I covered my ears. I screamed for them to stop. No one heard me, and for the first time in weeks, I wanted to run. Not because I didn't want them, but because they wanted me so badly they'd destroy each other to prove it. A few days later. It was a Thursday morning when Logan packed. I knew something was wrong the second I came down to the kitchen. He was making tea, but not the usual sleepy time lavender blend he always made for me. This one was sharp, bitter, like peppermint and regret. He didn't look up when I stepped in, didn't smile, didn't say good morning. I said his name once, quiet.
Hey,
he replied, still staring at the kettle. Not hey baby, not hey Lou, just hey. I sat down on the far end of the counter, watched his hands shake while he poured. His med bag was at his feet, open, folded in perfect surgical order. I stared at it for a long second before whispering, "You're leaving?" He nodded. Didn't say sorry, didn't offer excuses. Instead, he reached into the bag and pulled out a neatly folded packet of paper.
I made a list, he said. Supplements, things to avoid, early signs of second trimester issues. You'll probably be extra sensitive to synthetic scents, so maybe ask Silas to switch laundry detergents?
Logan? He looked at me then, and it broke me, because Logan had soft eyes, the kind you wanted to trust in a storm, but right now, they were tired and empty.
I thought it was mine,
he said softly.
I really did. I thought I held you through the worst of it. I gave you suppressants. I took care of you.
You did.
I thought it meant something.
It did.
But not enough.
He stepped forward, pressed something into my hand, a little velvet pouch. Inside, a necklace. Tiny, simple, a charm shaped like a stethoscope, and a pup's footprint. I started crying. Why are you giving me this? I asked, voice shaking. Why now?
Because I want the baby to know that even if I'm not his dad, I wanted to be.
I covered my mouth. Logan leaned forward, kissed my forehead, didn't ask for anything back. Then he whispered,
"Take care of yourself,"
and walked out the door. I didn't stop him, because I couldn't even breathe. Charlie was the sunshine boy, the fixer, the soft one who made bad things bearable. When Logan left, Charlie brought me ice cream and trashy movies and a pregnancy pillow shaped like a giant hot dog. He never brought up the test, never brought up the fight, he just kept smiling, until one day he didn't. It was a week after Logan left. I was in the living room, wrapped in a throw blanket, watching a documentary on sea otters because everything else made me cry. Charlie came in with a tray of snacks and a giant bowl of grapes, because apparently you're basically two humans now, Lou, and neither of you are allowed to starve on my watch. He was smiling, but it didn't reach his eyes, and when he sat beside me and I didn't lean into him like I used to, something in him cracked. "Hey," he said suddenly, "can I ask you something?" I nodded. "Just answer honestly, okay?" My stomach twisted. He stared at the floor for a second, then looked up. "When you think about the baby, like, when you picture it, who do you see?" I opened my mouth, closed it. He smiled again, but this time, it was trembling. "You don't see me, do you?" "Charlie, you never did. That's not—" He stood up. "Be honest, Lou." "I don't know who the father is," I snapped. "I was in heat. I don't remember anything clearly." "But you remember the voice?" he whispered. I flinched. His jaw clenched. "You remember someone saying, 'I love you,' and it wasn't me." I looked away, and that was all the answer he needed. "I was trying to be the good one," he said. "The nice guy, the safe choice. You are safe, but not wanted," he laughed, suddenly bitter. "I thought if I was patient enough, sweet enough, you'd choose me, eventually." I was crying now. "I'm sorry," I whispered. He stood there for a long time. Then he leaned down, kissed my temple, tucked a piece of hair behind my ear.
You never have to be sorry for not loving someone back,
he murmured. And just like that, he was gone too. The worst of it all was Johnny. He didn't scream, he didn't beg, he didn't even cry. He just disappeared. I woke up one morning and the studio door was wide open, sunlight flooding in like a final goodbye. His brushes were gone, his canvases, his rings, his jacket with the paint stains. All that was left was one unfinished painting. Me, sleeping, wrapped in soft sheets, a hand pressed to my stomach, eyes closed, peaceful, surrounded by 5 shadows with no faces. The title? Don't Wake Him Yet. That was it. No note, no explanation, just the silence he left behind. Alejandro took it badly, worse than I expected. He wasn't the type to talk about feelings, he just acted, all instinct and sharp edges. So when Johnny left, Alejandro went quiet, too quiet. I found him in the backyard, shirtless, punching the fence posts until his knuckles bled. Alejandro? I told him not to leave you. Blood dripped onto the grass. You're all tearing each other apart. He abandoned you. And what are you doing? He stopped, looked at me. I'm trying not to kill someone, he said, voice flat. That's me trying. He dropped to his knees in the grass, hands in his hair, shoulders shaking. I don't know how to be soft, Louis, he whispered. Not like Logan, not like Charlie, not even like Johnny. I just know how to fight for what's mine. I stepped forward, touched his shoulder, and for the first time ever, Alejandro let me. He curled into my side like a wounded wolf, didn't ask for anything, didn't beg, didn't even try to kiss me. He just held on, and I think that scared me most of all, because underneath all that rage was love that didn't know where to go. I couldn't ask him to stay in so much pain either, so I allowed him to go too, that I'd be fine. I'm not worth so much hurt. Never was. He didn't want to leave me alone like this. I could see it in his eyes, but I guess the pain I caused him was far worse than I had expected, because 2 days later, I found his room empty, with just a note on the bed, saying, "Take care." A few days later, I started noticing little things. Silas replacing every window in the house with soundproof glass. Silas adding new locks, upgraded security, solar blackout curtains. Silas making tea but never bringing it to me, just leaving it outside my door without a word. He didn't speak much to me, didn't ask how I was, didn't demand anything, but I saw him watching, like he was taking inventory of my bruises, my dark circles, my silences. One day, I found the floor plan spread out in his coffee. I asked, "What's this?" He didn't look up. "The nursery," he said simply. "I'm building it next to your room." I blinked. "You don't even know if you're the—" "It doesn't matter." He said it like fact. No emotion, no doubt. Just, it doesn't matter. I stared at him. "You're not angry?" "I'm furious." "Then why—" "Because someone should take care of you," he said. "And I'm the only one left." Later that week, I found out he bought the street. The entire street. Apparently, the noise from traffic stressed me out. So Silas bought every building on the block and installed noise-proof barriers. When I asked why he did that, he said, "You muttered in your sleep that you couldn't rest." I just stared at him. He added, voice soft, "You deserve to rest." 2 days later, it was raining. Not a storm, just that soft, steady kind of rain that makes you want to sit by a window with tea and cry for no reason. I was in the garden, blanket around my shoulders, knees drawn up to my chest, belly warm and fluttery with movement I couldn't ignore anymore. Silas found me like that. Didn't say anything at first, just stepped out into the drizzle, umbrella in one hand, a soft box in the other. He didn't offer the umbrella to me. He opened it and sat beside me, shielding both of us. It was quiet for a long time, then whispered, "I keep thinking about the voice." Silas looked at me. "The one from the heat?" I added. The one who said they loved me. I don't know who it was. Does it matter? His voice was gentle, lower than usual. I blinked at him. Do you need to know who said it? He continued. For it to be real now? I couldn't answer, because I didn't know. But when he handed me the box, I almost started crying again. Inside was a tiny white leather collar, delicate, gold hardware, my name engraved on the tag like it had always belonged there. I'm not asking to be your mate, he said. I'm not demanding anything. I just wanted you to know. Someone stayed. Not to win, not to claim, just to give you a choice. I clutched the collar to my chest. I don't deserve this, I whispered. Silas tilted his head. You deserve everything. You always did. Then he kissed me. Not like a heat, not like a claim, just soft and slow and reverent, like a man finally letting himself want something and not being afraid he'll break it. A few days later. It had been a long day. I'd thrown up twice, my spine ached, Charlie had texted me something too sweet, Logan sent a long email about prenatal vitamins, and Alejandro nearly got into a fistfight with a stranger who looked at me too long at the grocery store. They all went away, but still stayed in touch, still cared, and I guess it was enough for me. Silas? He'd been quiet, like always. Didn't hover, didn't scold, didn't speak unless he had to. So when I came back to my room and saw the envelope on my pillow, I almost didn't open it. No name, just my handwriting on a wrinkled scrap tucked inside. God, I'd sell my soul for that bag. Louis, 13 days ago at lunch. I froze. There was a receipt attached, thicker than the pillowcase. Item, vintage De La Roche lambskin. Price, $84,000. Courier, private jet. Delivered in 6 hours. My breath caught. Inside the package was the bag itself. Soft, cloud-colored, impossibly perfect. The kind of thing you dream about when you're broke and daydreaming through magazine pages. But that wasn't what gutted me. No. What gutted me was the handwritten note beside it. Short, understated, perfectly Silas. You said you liked it, so I bought the company. Do you need anything else? I sat on the bed and laughed. Actually laughed. Bright, stunned, stupid laughter. The kind that escapes when you're too tired to process being seen. Then I cried. Ugly, shoulder shaking, snotty tears. Not because of the gift, but because it meant he heard me. Really heard me. One stupid comment, halfway through lunch, and he'd held on to it. Not because he wanted to impress me, but because I wanted it. That's the difference. That's what made it love. 3 days later. It started with the smell of paint. Faint mineral, oddly nostalgic. I thought someone had spilled something in the hall again, until I walked past the nursery and froze. The door was cracked open. I pushed it wider, and the breath left my lungs. The room was no longer white. It was green. Soft forest green with a gold trim. Hand-painted foxes curling beneath shadowy trees that stretched across the walls. There must have been hundreds of them, every single one slightly different, some asleep, some peeking, one with a heart-shaped tail. I touched the nearest one. The paint was fresh, still tacky. The strokes weren't professional, not clean or perfect. In fact, they were almost childlike, which made it even more real. He'd done this himself. Silas. The man who owned multiple real estate corporations and probably had an army of interior designers on speed dial, painted foxes on the wall with his own hands. He hadn't told me. He didn't ask for a reaction. He just made the room soft, made it feel like somewhere a pup could dream safely. There was a rocking chair in the corner now, a pile of picture books, a folded cream blanket with my initials stitched on one side and his on the other. I sat on the floor instead, felt the baby flutter under my hand, felt the tears come hot and heavy again. This wasn't just a nursery. It was a love letter. He found me there after midnight, standing in the doorway, hair damp from the shower, barefoot, holding a mug of tea. You painted them, I said softly. He nodded. You didn't ask.
I didn't think I had to.
A beat passed.
Why foxes? I asked.
He looked at the far wall. His voice was low, quiet, almost shy.
They mate for life, he said, even if they lose each other.
I blinked hard.
Is that a metaphor?
His lips twitched, almost smiling.
No, he said. It's a warning.
And then he set the tea down beside me and left. No further explanation, just a fox, a forest, and a man trying to give a home to someone who'd never had one. 4 days later. I carried it with me for days. In my pocket, in my palm, under my pillow, the white leather collar, delicate and soft, with gold fixtures and a tag engraved with my name. Silas never brought it up, not once. He gave it to me in the garden during a rainstorm, said he wasn't asking to be my mate, only offering a choice, then walked away and waited, like it didn't break his heart, like loving me quietly was enough. But it wasn't enough anymore, not for me, because the others were gone, and Silas stayed. Not because he wanted to win, not because he wanted to claim, but because I'd muttered once, half asleep, that I couldn't sleep through the traffic, and he bought the entire street so I could rest. Because he started stocking the fridge with the exact brand of pickles I liked before I even knew I liked them. Because he never said I love you, but made me feel like I was scared every time he was near. So I walked into his office. He didn't look up, just sat behind his sleek black desk, stylus moving across a tablet, architectural schematics, child-proof safety gates, nursery expansion plans. He was planning a future for a child that might not even be his. He didn't know I was crying until I set the box down on the desk. He paused, looked at it, then slowly, finally, at me. I opened the lid. "I want it to be you," I said softly. His mouth parted, barely. "I don't need all of you to love me," I whispered. "I just need one of you to mean it." Silas didn't speak for a full 10 seconds. Then he stood, crossed the room slowly, hands trembling. He took the collar from the box with reverence, fastened it around my neck with fingers so careful it almost hurt. Then he pulled back, voice low.
"I didn't know how to love you right," he said, "but I never wanted anyone else to try."
He brushed his thumb across the tag.
"I've been yours since the day you lied on your rental form and moved in like a disaster in slippers."
I choked out a laugh. His hands cradled my face.
"You were always mine," he whispered. "I was just waiting for you to notice."
Then he kissed me, and this time it didn't feel like being claimed. It felt like coming home. He picked me up like I weighed nothing, carried me to the nursery he built with his own hands, laid me down like I was breakable, and when he finally knotted me, he didn't growl, he didn't smirk, he just whispered,
"You don't have to belong to all of us. Just let me belong to you,"
and marked me his. A few months later. So, my biggest regret in life, mentioning croissants before breakfast. It was 7:42 a.m. I was on the couch, belly full and heavy, feet shoved under Silas's thigh while he scrolled through his tablet like a dad at a very expensive hardware store. I was cranky and sore, and exactly 5 seconds away from murdering someone if I didn't get something buttery and flaky in my mouth immediately. So I muttered, mostly to myself, "Ugh, I'd kill for a real French croissant." Not even dramatic, just a regular hormonal threat. I didn't even mean it. Silas didn't say anything, didn't ask questions, didn't even blink. He just stood up, grabbed his phone, walked out the door. No explanation, gone. I assumed he was going for a walk, or placing an order, maybe heading to that bougie bakery near the park with the overpriced espresso and the oat milk staff. Cool, great. I curled up and fell asleep. 4 hours later. I'm still in the living room, still barefoot, still 85% croissant deprived, and then I hear the front door open. Silas walks in. Behind him, a tiny, panicked man with round glasses, flower on his sleeve, and the exact expression of someone who's just been kidnapped by wealth. I blink, slowly. "Silas?" I say, deadpan. "Who the hell is that?" Silas looked incredibly pleased with himself, like a raccoon who's brought home a diamond.
This is Julian, he says, your new live-in pastry chef.
I stare at Julian. Julian waves nervously, in French.
Pastry only, I do not do meat.
I turn back to Silas. Silas, no. Silas shrugs.
Julian comes with a full bakery team. They're already installing ovens downstairs.
Silas!
He also makes tarts.
He says that last part like it's the final boss of seduction, like tarts are the secret password to my soul, which unfortunately they are. I glance at him. Silas leans down, kisses the corner of my mouth, and whispers,
He uses real butter.
I crack. God help me. I crack like a warm puff pastry. Later that evening, Julian makes me 6 croissants, from scratch, serves them with imported strawberry jam and 1 perfect lavender macaron for aesthetics. Silas refuses to eat any. Just sits across from me, arms folded, watching me like I'm the Mona Lisa, and he's just discovered religion. You good? I mumble around a mouthful of flake and joy. He nods.
You're happy?
I'm so happy. He smiles then, soft, tiny, private. The kind of smile no one ever sees, except me. That night, he reads to the baby. Doesn't know I'm watching, just kneels beside me in bed, palm on my belly, murmuring in that deep, gentle voice that somehow makes baby books sound like love poems.
Once upon a time, he says, there was a very spoiled little fox, and he got everything he ever wanted, because his papa was insane and in love with his mama.
I tear up instantly. Silas doesn't notice, because the baby kicks, hard, and Silas, he looks like someone just handed him the universe. A few weeks later, the first pain hit just after dawn. I was halfway through pouring milk into my cereal, half asleep, the house still and quiet, when something deep inside me snapped. A sharp, twisting pain cut through my lower spine, and I gasped, the bowl clattering to the floor. Milk everywhere. My knees buckled. No, it's too early. I'm not ready. I can't. Another pain, worse this time, and I screamed. It echoed through the house like a bomb. Silas, frantic, lifted me up and took me to the bed. Charlie was the first to come running. Silas must have called or informed him, and maybe others too. Even though throughout all this time they stayed in touch with him and me, I never expected them to be here for me this soon. Not after how hurt they left. He skidded into the room barefoot, hoodie inside out, wild-eyed and already halfway in panic mode. Hey, what's... Oh my god, is it happening? I nodded, or tried to, maybe whimpered. He rushed forward, easing me to relax, his hand on my back. Okay, deep breaths, sunshine. You're okay. We've got this, right? I mean, probably. We've watched like 4 birth vlogs. I would have laughed if I wasn't about to pass out. Logan arrived next, practically bursting through the hallway with his scrubs inside out and gloves already halfway on. His eye snapped to mine, clinical, focused, but there was a tremble in his voice.
Is he dilated? Has the water broken? Where's the towel stash? Where is the towel stash?
Logan, Charlie barked. You're the doctor.
Not a midwife.
Still, he dropped to his knees, hands already on my pulse, checking my temperature, voice suddenly calm.
Louis, I'm right here. You're crowning. You're okay. You've got this.
Alejandro came next, and baby, I wish I could describe how uselessly sweet it was. Fully dressed, shirt unbuttoned, wrong, tattoos half visible, pacing the length of the kitchen like he wanted to fight the pain for me.
I brought towels, he said, dropping them with way too much force. What else? Water, knife, salt?
What the hell do you think this is?
Logan snapped.
A mob birth?
I don't know, he yelled back. I've never done this. I kill people. I don't birth them.
And yet, moments later, Alejandro crouched beside me, took my hand in his scarred ones, and murmured,
You're not allowed to die, Louis. You hear me? You live, no matter what.
And just like that, despite everything, I smiled through the tears. But then Silas coughed, and the world stilled. He didn't freak out, didn't speak, just knelt behind me and gathered me into his arms like I belonged there, like I always had. His scent wrapped around me, sharp cedar and smoke, and he held my hand in both of his.
I've got you, he murmured. I've got you. I'm right here. Breathe, baby.
He didn't flinch when I screamed, didn't move when I clutched him like a lifeline, didn't let go when I almost passed out from the pressure. He was stone, he was steel, and he was mine. And then, the cry. The world stopped. There was blood, tears. My vision was shaking, but that cry, it cut through everything like sunlight. Logan caught the baby.
Healthy heartbeat, he whispered. Strong lungs, beautiful omega scent.
He turned and passed him to me, wrapped in a pale green blanket. I looked down and froze. The baby blinked up at me, tiny and blinking and brand new, and his eyes? God, they were green. Not just green, Silas green. Deep forest, impossible to mistake. Everything stilled again. My heart tried to crawl out of my chest, because in that moment, every question fell away, every uncertainty, every fear. It was Silas. He was the father. He was home. No one spoke at first, and I braced for it, for the yelling, the accusations, the heartbreak, but it never came. Instead, Charlie sniffled.
Oh my God! He's so tiny, like hamster tiny. I'm gonna teach him how to dunk by 5. We'll start with softballs.
Logan rolled his eyes.
No, he has the hand span of a future surgeon. He'll do neurosurgery by 15.
Alejandro dropped to one knee beside me, all tattoos and wrecked emotion.
I'm his godfather, he declared. I'm protecting him. No debate.
I stared at him. Did you just assign yourself?
Yeah.
Okay. Then there was a knock on the door. Charlie opened it. A courier handed him a flat canvas wrapped in silk. No note, just a signature in the corner I'd know anywhere. Johnny. I unwrapped it with trembling fingers, and there it was, me holding the baby. Johnny always had an imagination that far exceeded human capacity. Even though he wasn't here, he painted me exactly as I am now, as if he knew, as if he already knew how I'd be. Hair a mess, skin flushed, one hand on the baby's back, the other reaching out towards soft sunlight. It was gentle, warm, painted with so much love it felt like someone exhaled it onto the canvas. He hadn't come, but he'd sent his heart. And I whispered, "Thank you," like maybe he could still hear it. I looked up and Silas was watching me, but not with pride, with awe, like I was something holy. His eyes were wet, his jaw trembling. He reached out and gently cradled the baby's head, leaned in, and kissed him on the brow like he was fragile treasure. Then he looked at me, just looked, and in that look I saw it all. Thank you for this life. Thank you for choosing me. You've given me the greatest gift I never even knew how to ask for. He didn't need to say it, because everything in him said it. And as I laid there, cradling our son, Charlie arguing about basketball, Logan lecturing about anatomy, Alejandro swearing to protect him from demons and nightmares, and Silas beside me, hand steady on mine, I knew something that made my chest ache. This baby didn't just have one father. He had a pack. He had 4 alphas who would love him, teach him, protect him, and never let him feel alone. And one who had already given him the entire world, not through territory, not through scent or mark, but through love, steady, silent, fierce, the kind that doesn't ask to be chosen, but stays until you do. The end. Out of all 5 alphas, Silas, Logan, Alejandro, Charlie, and Johnny, which one do you think was best for Louis? Thanks for watching. Subscribe to become part of our Rainbow Force, and consider joining our membership for early access and exclusive content. Stay wholesome.